Hello, everyone. Jessica Peterson here with Simply Wow Agency. Another episode of Wow Power Players. I always say it's simple. You wow someone, your business grows, and you have a prosperous wow life yourself. And today I have a very special guest, a friend, Cindy Beyer, also known as Cynthia Beyer. Welcome.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for having me on the show today.
I'm really excited. So can I just share a little bit about you and what I've enjoyed about you, and then you can expand on it some more for anyone listening?
That would be awesome. Yep, go right ahead.
Perfect. Well, first of all, I know today we're going to talk about your value and creating that value and the ask for it. I know you're amazing at sales and negotiations, and also about riches and the niches. You have come a long ways in evolving. I met you, wow, what was it, about 5 years ago at an event?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think
it was
it was.
fun. Yeah, so I love that you tell everyone you are a recovering attorney. So, and you look amazing, and I know you're going to share some secrets with us on that today as well. So, I admire you because you really have gone after your purpose and your passion. And we'll dive into that a little bit more later. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, as you mentioned, I am a recovering attorney. I grew up in northwestern Minnesota in a place that's as flat as your tabletop, but that didn't deter me from all of my adventures, which eventually led to me to climbing to the very tippy top of Mount McKinley and several other 14ers here in Colorado and doing marathons and then having children on top of it all. And I'm a single mom with two boys. The oldest is 20, and he is a junior up at Colorado. And then the youngest will be graduating this May from Columbine High School.
Wow, and I know you're touring colleges. Exciting, huh?
We were. It's like, which one's going to be a good fit? Because in some ways, picking a college is almost like picking your spouse, and because you never know, you might meet your spouse there.
I never even thought of it that way. So I'm sure you have lots of advice for single parents when it comes to that. So as I mentioned, first of all, let's go ahead and start with riches in the niches. And I know when you and I started working together, I loved your purpose and your passion of supporting other single parents out there and professional parents. And you have a wide array of doing that. You're one of my few certified Create the Perfect Day coaches out there as well. And in that journey, I'm so excited that we've uncovered nobody's offering anything hardly at all for single parents, let alone professional parents. So tell us about what fueled that and about your books for that too.
Well, originally when I first started looking at this area, I was focusing on single moms. But interestingly enough, all of my single dad friends who were divorced said, well, what about us? We need help too. And the more I thought about it, there's just as much assistance and help that single dads need, just as much as single moms. Because in some ways, when single moms are struggling with those issues with their sons, single dads are struggling with those same issues with their daughters, how to make those connections, how to deal with the issues that their daughters have. And so I decided I need to be out there. And my mission is to help both single parents, whether they're a mom or whether they're a dad, because they need help and each has different issues. And each parent, it doesn't matter whether it's the mother or the father, each parent is so responsible and so important in the lives of raising our children. You can't just say it's a feminine or a masculine energy. They need both, because the truth of it is when they get out into the workplace, when they get into their relationships, they have to interact with both sexes. So it's very important to have those skills. And as parents, we have such a knowledge base. If we really start digging into our roots, our experiences with our jobs, with our spouses, with our hobbies, with our relationships, there's so much knowledge that we can pass on to our kids, that why not give them that best foundation, that best base, so that they can be the best kids out there and be successful. And at the end of the day, you don't want them bouncing back and living in your basement.
That's so fascinating to say that, because I saw on Facebook one day that was a controversial. A lot of people say, I want my kid out of my basement. Some say, I want my kid always to keep in the basement. So I'm sure there'll be a hot subject. Now, you and I had the privilege to go ahead and work on coming up with over 50 different topics. You want to share some of those topics for single professional parents?
Yes, some of them are organizational hacks. How do you get more out of your day? Another one is integration, when you have financial topics that you need to talk to about your kids. Another big issue is what happens when they go off to college and they're 18, because there's a number of different legal documents that you really need to make sure that you have in place as your child goes off to college. And filling out at least in my mind, what do you do in filling out the FAFSA, the federal financial aid documentation that you need to do? How do you coach your kids on that first job? How do you coach the kids when they come back home and they say, hey, Mom, I'm getting bullied at school? So I'm so excited to dive into these topics and look for experts to give expertise, and then also just spread my knowledge of what I've learned over the years. Because it's not just me being a single parent. I'm the second oldest of 8 kids. So in many ways, I think that's why I delayed having kids, because in essence, I helped raise my younger brothers and sisters for so many years.
Mm-hmm. And I really like how you're going to share your knowledge, just like my mission. And also you're going to bring in people like I am, because it's this whole community effort, right? Of, supporting one another. I'm all about community. Okay. Well, and I love about the hacks. I can't wait. Even I'm not a single parent, but I still would love to go ahead and learn about your hacks. I had a visual once. I'll never forget my daughter. She's a teenager now, but when she was little, remember, the career and juggling it all. And I remember one day I was on a phone call and juggling social media and drinking wine and scrubbing my toilet. And I was multitasking. I don't know if it was the best thing possible, but that visual, I think it was that moment thinking, what am I doing? Is this talented or is this crazy at this moment? So I don't know.
It's a little of each, I'll be honest. It's
okay.
You're doing it. And, sometimes it's just what you have to do.
Exactly. Now the good news is I say hire someone to do the cleaning, and that's what I've done. So there's a little secret hack. Okay. And you've evolved. And I have another client right now who's not going to be on the show. I do want to share a little about the story and how it integrates with yours and value for other people listening and watching. So this client came to me and said, Jessica, here's my service. Here's my ideal client. And as we started diving in, the conversions weren't happening. And I started saying, are you sure this is your ideal client? Oh, yeah. I don't think so. So I said, what about this being your ideal client? And this is why. And then the light bulb moment went off, and now they're thriving. It's unbelievable, a wait list. I mean, it's just so incredible. So for you start out with the single moms, and then we started realizing, okay, it's also the men too. And I value that. And I've connected you with some of my guy friends who are amazing single dads. And then we started saying, okay, I kept attracting and meeting all these amazing attorneys, lawyers that were women and looking for support. And I thought, we started having this conversation, right? And noticing that there was a big gap for the female lawyers, attorneys out there. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I also started delving into helping female attorneys, because we have a little bit different struggle when we get into the workplaces as women attorneys, because for so many of us, and it was at least for me, it's like when the first struggle was after you graduate from law school, do you dive into your career or do you have kids right away? And then if you do have children, how do you make that balance with trying to get the briefs written, getting ready for courtroom, negotiating contracts, and trying to make sure that you get the toilet scrubbed at home and the diapers get changed, meals get prepared, because there's so much that keeps coming at you as a parent, as everyone knows, no matter what profession you're in. And I thought, well, I struggle with so many of these issues. I wonder what other women are doing out there, because sometimes, believe it or not, when you are in the workplace, whether it's a private firm or corporate, there's a different view when you're a woman attorney. There's just no getting around it. There just is.
Really?
I wonder, will you be here when you start to have kids? Will you come back? Will you not come back? How much do you want to go part-time? Do you want to go full-time? And how do you get ahead if you want to be a partner in a big law firm? How do you move ahead in the chain if you want to take your career to that next level, but still make sure that you have balance in your family life, and balance with your family, balance with your kids, and then balance with your significant other too?
Yes, one of my business partners this morning, we were talking how one of our former business partners passed away and pretty young. And one thing we learned from that is he didn't have the balance, and his lifestyle, he had such a passion, and I value that. I'm passionate, you're passionate. So we sometimes have to double check that balance, but it killed him. we had that conversation. We both agreed just working so much killed him. And now look, he's not around for his family. So it's not worth it. And that balance is so key. And that's what I love about my book, Create the Perfect Day. And I'm so grateful you loved it and love to teach it as well on, that balance. It's like driving a car. You have 4 tires. You get one flat tire, you don't get far. So same with Create the Perfect Day. We talk about those 4 key areas, and you've got to make sure you balance and check. So I really value that about you, and that you actually get what the female attorneys are going through. You get it. You've been there all these years. You know the struggle. And we found a common theme with their struggle. So now you're creating a system. So if any female attorneys out there listening, I know Cindy's amazing at paying it forward and saying 20 minutes, share with me your number 1 challenge, and I guarantee you'll walk away with a plan or solution. And how's that going so far? Because I know you started sharing that expertise with different attorneys.
It's going well, and I love to connect with women because not only do I find out about their challenges, and it may be something that I have experienced in my career, because as I don't know if we mentioned, but I've practiced for 29 years as an attorney, and I've done both government, local government work. I've practiced in private practice. I've practiced in a corporate environment. So I've got a lot of different experience. And so with 29 years, I may have seen just about everything out there when you are in the legal field.
That sounds like a book on its own. And I know you've published, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, actually the first book I published was Blow Your Nose, Pull Up Your Socks, 5 Keys to Successful Parenting. So if you're looking for a quick and easy read, it's what we call an airplane book. I have the book, it's available on Amazon, and there's also a Kindle version of it. And it talks about, I have 5 critical keys of what you need to look for when you are a parent and what you can pass down to your kids. Because I know I really felt called to have kids, not right away, but once I had them, I wanted to make sure that I truly enjoyed them. And face it, they're such interesting creatures, and they are just a perfect mind meld of you and your partner. It's amazing what these human beings can turn out to be. And then the other thing is that ripple effect, because what you teach your kids will go out and ripple in the world. And you want to have, your kids are your legacy. So let's make sure it's a great one. And then the second book that I was a part of, I wrote a chapter. It was called Dismantling the Glass Ceiling, and it was about women leadership. And then the third one was actually one that I got to co-write, write a chapter in with you, and it's the Essential Woman's Guide on Safety. And if people are struggling with what to get women graduates, whether it's high school or whether it's college, this is a wonderful book for women to tap into, to gift to them so that they can see how to be safe in those environments as they go off to college or as they go off into the workplace.
Yes, that book. I'm so grateful you gave your insight in the other women. And I love the women that write in and say, wow, this, we're telling all our girlfriends about it. That one you're talking about is Clear Boundaries, Every Business Woman's Essential Safety Guide. And then the other one is, I wrote the forward for Conceive to Lead. And there are some amazing stories. If you're looking for inspiration, the Conceive to Lead, I would say safety, absolutely the Clear Boundaries. And then your book, Blow Your Nose, Pull Up Your Socks. It was so intense in a good way. I was thinking this is powerful for a single parent out there to get out there and get energized. And I was worn out after reading that.
Yeah, I do. I've oftentimes been referred to as the Energizer Bunny because of all the things I like to do, but I'm a person that doesn't like to sit still and be involved. And right now I'm training for a half Ironman in October. And then on Saturday, I'm jumping out of an airplane with my one girlfriend to celebrate her 60th birthday.
Oh, wow. I know. So I've never done any of those marathons, so I highly admire you for that. You remind me of what a friend sent me. I was laughing so hard. It showed Superwoman flat on her back, and it said, I can do anything. I can do anything. I laugh because, and it amazes me how people look at you and I and say we're the Energizer Bunnies, and how do you do all this? Well, you and I, that's what we do. We teach productivity. You want to know how to maximize life in your time? Talk with us. We share the secrets with that, right?
Yeah, maybe it's that 15 minutes to you just, bust out the laundry basket and get them all folded up today.
I say hire someone. Hire someone for that. Hire out. So, okay. And in your book, so one of my books, the Create the Perfect Day, I talk about that surreal moment with my husband in ICU and almost didn't make it in just that whole moment. And then you talk about the moment where you almost lost your life and you pulled through. And I really think when people go through those moments, it just does something to you. It just gives you this big
You
surge.
do.
Mm-hmm.
It does, because at that moment, and it was interesting when you read my book, Blow Your Nose, Pull Up Your Socks, and Get On With It. I talk about that time that I almost, and it was literally and figuratively almost died. It was an incident as I was doing an open water swim, and it was early in the swim season, and did not realize, what I had gotten myself into, and how very quickly I had gone downhill during that swim, and realizing if I did not pull myself together, if I didn't blow my nose, pull up my socks, and get on with it, I wasn't going to make it to the opposite shore to get out of that lake. And there was no one else around at that point in time. And I had to. And that was the scariest situation in my entire life, of being so close to saying, I've got no one but myself to rely on. I have to do this.
I know my heart stopped there for a moment. So yeah, because I remember reading about that and it was pretty intense. And our wish is nobody goes through moments like that. Someone privately messaged me the other day, because this past month I lost 2 family members young, unexpected. And someone messaged me and said, I just lost a family member young, unexpected. And it completely reminded me of your post. And so really, we can always earn more money, lose money, whatever. And I'm all about people earning money. Think of this though, your time, you're not really gaining that much more. I mean, you might be able to do some life hacks, and health hacks but in the end, it's not like you could say, hey, I want to buy more life, right?
Exactly.
How are we investing our time? And I love when I work with people and like yourself asking, is this bringing me closer or further away from my purpose, my goals, and my dreams?
Right, because the one thing that I've discovered is you can never, ever get that time back.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's time in a relationship that doesn't work out, time in a job that doesn't work out, even time in a hobby, or even time reading a book. I mean, if you're reading a book and it is just not doing it for you, it's okay. You
Mm-hmm.
can put the book down and you can walk away and you will still survive.
Can't be our books though.
But not our books. No, because our books are so intense. You want to see what happens at the end.
Yeah, not our books. Don't be putting our books on. No, I understand what you're saying. And I like how early you brought up how the kids really pick up on habits. And we want our kids to be happy and productive. I shared this before, my daughter, the schools have always said, wow, she's the happiest kid ever. And, the thoughts, lifestyle, habits, things of that nature. It is powerful. And she made actually some big news, because I posted on social media one day. It kind of shocked me. She shared with me, Mom, 3 boys asked me out today. I thought, oh, well, we haven't really had that much of a conversation, right? And I said, well, what did you say? And she goes, I told them all I prefer to be an independent woman. I go, oh, good answer. So wonder, so anyhow, I love my husband over 20 years. The point is they do pick up on certain things and they become their own human beings. Do you have any stories like that with your kids, those aha moments?
Well, funny you should talk about being an independent woman, because I remember recently, within this last year, picking my oldest son up at college, and he was having some struggles with dating. He says, Mom, how do you date an independent, strong woman?
Well, you can interview my daughter.
And, it is. And my son reaches out to me like, hey, Mom, I need some help with, crafting the language on my resume and getting that cover letter written as they're looking and searching for jobs. Or how do I do an interview? What are some things that I need to do on an interview? Or it might be even just taking a look at their papers and saying, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this concept? Or would you come take a look at my project that I'm working on?
And I know there's companies charging like $3,000 on how to interview and get a job. And here you're going to be giving that information for free. So why don't you tell everyone really quick? So we're going to dive in some more deep information, valuable tips. Why don't you share about your website for the single professional parents?
Yes, I've created a website for single professional parents, and on there I list how to connect with me. I'm available as a speaker. I'm available as a coach. I'm available as a trainer, because I have so many different areas that I can assist either the single parents or maybe their companies. Because here's another fact that maybe companies need to think about too, is that they
Mhm.
have a lot of single parents in there. And if you can make sure that your single parents are happy and productive, you're going to retain those employees a lot longer. And it costs a lot of money to search out and find good employees. So give them the resources to be those strong employees of some of the issues that they may be dealing with.
And they'll be happier and more productive. So absolutely, it helps the company, not only morale, also the financial too. Okay, so now since then, again, riches and niches. So you have these two niches, and then a third one popped up for you, which is really exciting, and that is?
It is independent pharmacies. And I did not realize, truly what an independent pharmacy is. Somebody not that has their own business. It's a pharmacy business. It's not associated with a big box or a big chain store. And it could be something that's standalone or something that's inside, but it's their own small business. And was recently introduced to this concept, and I thought, what an opportunity
Mhm.
to see how I can help them. And all of a sudden, the opportunities are just flooding in as to how to help independent pharmacies.
I love that. So another interview, I had a gentleman, he started, looking at his passion and listening as people kept coming, right, for advice. So I'm happy to hear that you're niched in those three. And then now you and I working together, you created this package for actually a couple of the industries. We've created
Yes.
packages, and then you shared it with me, and I said, oh, Cindy, you're way undercharging this. And so already you've way increased the pricing. So one of the things is I love working with companies. I say the value, the ask, don't be undervaluing yourself. And so for you, I'm really proud of you for being so open about that and charging more. So I'm really proud of you.
Well, exactly. It's, I have a lot of experience, and I'm putting it to great use for people. And I enjoy getting them to that next level. I enjoy seeing where they can go with their life, where they can go in the future, and what more can they do in their lives.
Okay, number one tip that anybody has ever shared with you for business, what was it?
I think the number one tip is never be afraid to say yes,
Hmm.
because you never know where the yes opportunity will go to. It might be someone that walks into your office and says, hey, I need a contract drafted for this new business line. Can you help me with it? And the power of saying yes, and where that can lead for increases in your revenue, increases in your contacts, and increases in your productivity, because it's one other arrow that you can have in your quiver of success.
Yes, so I like that. And then I also agree there's times learn to say no, right?
Well, and that's the other thing. It's a balance of when you can say, yes, I want that opportunity, I'm willing to go for it. And no, it's just not the right time, because that has also happened to me where opportunities have presented themselves to me and I've taken a look at it. And once you weigh it, because I'm a big fan of sitting down and putting the pros and the cons of certain opportunities that are presented to you. Is that really the best use of your resources? Is it going to lead you to your eventual goal of where you want to go? And if it doesn't, it's okay to say no, and it's okay to say yes.
Mhm. Now we won't go into it too much. So if anybody wants to connect, they could talk with you. I also know you have a side business. You look great. It's skincare,
Yes.
and you are hiring people on your team to make money and look good. And yeah, you look really good. So we don't have to share your age or anything like that. So
Oh, good.
you look really good. You're like me. We had children later in life. So anyhow,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I am so grateful for you, and thank you for sharing your wisdom, advice. So anybody listening to this, please remember riches and the niches, and part of that's listening and saying yes, and also knowing your value and not undercharging. So whether you work with Cindy or I or another company, just please make sure you get a second opinion for that, and make sure you're not or overcharging too. I've had companies
Right.
who were overcharging for some, but way undercharging for others, and it was eye-opening. So anyhow, everybody go out there and wow at least one person, and thank you for listening and for being a wow power player. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jessica. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cindy. Bye.
Bye.